Hello, everyone, and welcome to Single No More. We are here to give you the tools to feel confident that you can not only meet, but keep your Mr. Right this year. You might notice I have a bit of a different background on this one. I'm actually on a ski holiday, so doing this from Steamboat, Colorado. But that does not take any point away from making sure that I'm talking to the best people for you, because this is about you, and we want you to meet your Mr. Right this year. So I cannot wait to introduce you to my guest today, Miss Shannon Parsons. She is an awesome wife, loving mother of four, entrepreneur, motivational speaker, and wellness warrior, dedicated to enriching the lives of all the amazing humans on this planet. I mean, come on, how could I not want to be friends with this amazing person? Most recently, she's the host of Secret Knock Women, inspiring fabulous ladies all around the world to kick ass in high heels. Oh yeah, love it, fingers up. Oh my gosh, amazing. So, hello, Shannon. Welcome. Great to have you.
Thank you so much. I am so excited to be here.
I'm so excited to have you here. So you and I met probably a few years ago at a co-working space, clearly hit it off. Just the energy just gelled together, and we just knew that we could help each other in amazing ways. But what really, what I loved about you was how open you were. At the same time, you were what would you describe the role that you were? Was it a anxiety reliever, or was that what it was called?
Yeah, anxiety relief coach.
That's it. Oh my God, it was so good. I was like, tell me more. That's all I knew. I was like, tell me more. And so if you could share a little bit about what drew you to be that at the time. I know it was a story about your son, so please share that with us.
Thank you. Well, the way that I started my coaching journey was actually when I had my twins, and I knew that I wanted to be a really good parent, but I didn't know what that was or how to do it. So I started taking all these classes and ended up getting certified in things like nonviolent communication and redirecting children's behavior, positive discipline, because I really wanted to be like the perfect mom, right? Like we all do.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, and it was wonderful and it was amazing. But when my middle son suffered a trauma at school, all the tools that I had didn't help him. I couldn't rationalize with him, and we would work on these different things like try this, try that, and these ideas would work for a week or 2 weeks at a time, but it didn't help resolve the trauma in him. And it actually got so bad that over the course of a year and a half, he became agoraphobic. So he stopped talking. He wouldn't leave the house. It was so horrible because he would sit in the corner of his room and cry, and he would hold himself and just say, "It's not safe. It's not safe." And the craziest thing would happen to where his belief that it was not safe for him to leave the house was so strong that every time we convinced him to leave the house, something bad would happen and he would get hurt. So he would get stung by a bee. Or the craziest thing that happened was that one of the other kids was swinging on a rope outside. A shoe flew off and hit my other son right in the head. And he would look at me and he would go, "See, I told you it's not safe."
Oh,
It was the craziest thing.
oh my goodness.
But I knew that I needed to find a way to help him because the only other options for me were either medicate him or put him in some kind of institutional place, and I didn't want to do that. So it sent me on a hunt to learn about the brain and about the body and how they communicate to each other and how can we resolve this thing called trauma. Because trauma doesn't mean that you have to be at war. It's anything that really takes us by surprise. We didn't see it coming. We felt helpless and powerless, and it's something that we hold on to in our bodies. So I got to learn a lot about the brain and about how malleable it is, and really what the most effective tool that I used to help him was something called emotional freedom techniques, commonly referred to as tapping or EFT. And it was a gift. It was a gift. So my son would have these reactions, and I would just take him in the bathroom and start tapping with him and helping him move through his trauma and his anger and his frustration and all the bad things that were happening to him, to the point where when he originally would go outside, it would take 1 minute for something bad to happen where he would come in upset. And then it was 2 minutes. And then it was 5 minutes. And then it was 10 minutes. So over the course of 3 months, just using this technique where I was allowing him to move through the trauma in real time and tapping on these pressure points for him. He
Mm-hmm.
actually not only became more capable of being himself and being around other people, but he actually became more resilient. And that was the best piece.
That's amazing. I love how it was like he almost probably could have felt like he was behind the ball and something was wrong with him. But yet by working through his trauma, by working through a really hard time, to come out even better on the other side.
Yeah.
That just so rings true for me, because obviously, you know, the journey that I've gone through, where I definitely was on that side, could not understand why I couldn't commit to a good man, was in a 2-year cycle of dating and breaking up and dating and breaking up. And then along comes 38 and still doing the same thing. But then I, again, just had to work through, really had to dig down into myself, understand what my beliefs were that were holding me back, what I had was, you know, what wasn't serving me. And then, man, to come out on the other side of that is like crazy. It's like the bliss they talk about. It's just absolutely, again, it's the secret, right? It's like the actual thing that they talk about in terms of just absolute greatness. I love that story. I think it's amazing that you were able to do it. I love how you just like kind of just took matters into your own hands. You know, you didn't just go, okay, whatever, and kind of resort to the easy option. But then again, just amazing how much better he was on the
I
other.
wanted to at times, don't get me
Oh,
wrong.
I'm sure. And that's the reality, right? Like we can, when things get tough and it's things we don't like, there are easy options. We can go get a drink, we can go work, we can go do something. But honestly, if we really want to get to the other side or get what we really want, it might just take a little bit of work, but we'll get there. I think that's amazing. And I love when you said about his belief. You were like, he believed that the world was scary out there. It wasn't. I mean, it, you know, obviously it is in its own right, but it didn't mean that he shouldn't have to go outside. And then by having that belief, oh, what is, you know, all the self-fulfilling prophecies that he had. Oh, what a surprise, right?
Yep. Yep.
How do you explain that? How do you explain that? Because you're like obviously so knowledgeable in this area in the brain, but how do you kind of explain that self-fulfilling prophecy? Like the belief was, so it showed up. Is it just because it's what we focus on and there's always going to be both of them there and it's just what we choose to focus on?
Well, the brain is incredibly powerful and it's amazing. And I'm so excited. I could geek out on this for days. But basically, our everyday interactions are only 5% of our consciousness. 95% of what's going on is subconscious.
Mm-hmm.
So when we have a belief system that says, I'm not lovable, or bad things always happen to me, or whatever it is, our subconscious is actually scanning the environment at all times. And our brain has this want and this need to make us be right, because that means we're safe in our world. So that while the subconscious is scanning the environment, it's looking for ways to prove that our belief systems are true for us, so that we can go, see, I'm right. And that could be in the form of the subconscious seeing a bee and then it getting stepped on. Or there's a movie, What the Bleep Do We Know? And there was this great scene in there where the girl had this belief system that bad things always happen to her. And she's getting something to drink and a guy's walking up to the side of her and she consciously doesn't know he's there, but subconsciously she was aware of where he was. And so she grabbed her drink, turned around, smacked right into him. Her drink went all over her dress and she went, why do bad things always happen to me? Beautiful, beautiful image of how powerful our subconscious is.
Yeah.
We actually seem to be attracting these things into our life, but really it's our brain's way of reminding us that we're safe in our world. And the silly part is that most of our beliefs are created in childhood around some kind of mistake, a mistaken belief that we created when we were little, and our perception of the world was this big.
That's fascinating. That's fascinating. I know. I can't imagine that having that want or desire to prove yourself, to say, see, I was right, especially for something that isn't really good for you. Like, or, you know, when I hear that, I can just think of countless examples in the dating world where, you know, like you said, we want to believe that he's out there. We want to believe that we deserve love, but we might subconsciously, you're saying, be doing something to almost sabotage that or confirm, because we want to be safe and we want to be right. But that's not really
Yeah, it doesn't serve us in the
Doesn't
way
serve
that
us.
we
Yeah.
consciously think we want it to work out for us.
Right.
So I remember thinking that bad things happened to me. I was one of those. And it's so fun because the brain can't tell the difference between something that is real or imagined. And so as I went on my own journey, I actually created a belief system in my mind that says, I'm so lucky. And the craziest thing is that once I created that belief system, I keep getting lucky. Lucky things just keep happening to me where I went to an event and got upgraded to VIP. You know, like fun stuff like that happens to me all the time where I would say, you know, I really wish I could get a new purse. And then the next day someone say, hey, here's a bonus. Why don't you go get yourself a new purse or something? I would go, anybody see that? Like, I really want a camera to follow me around to, to show how fun this can be once we create a belief system that serves us.
Wow.
So if we have a belief system that the perfect partner for me is ready to come into my life, and to see how many of them can come. Because there
Yeah.
might not be just one, and you get to choose your most perfect match, and that's where it's really
Wow.
fun.
No, that is so powerful. Like you said, it's either, it almost feels like you're either going to put a good belief system in or a bad one. And they're totally opposite ends, right? You're either going bad and that's really a bad way to go, or great things can happen. And we know how amazing that feels. And you're saying it's just as easy as what you tell yourself. Is that right?
Yes. So it's all about the belief system, because the belief system again is subconscious and it's working behind the scenes when we're going through our day to day. So if you really do have a belief system that says, you know, something negative, then it's really cool to listen to that and pay attention to it and go, oh, you're there. Hi, my belief system that thinks I'm not worthy of love, or bad things happen to me, whatever it is. If we can take a moment to go, oh, hi, you exist, then we can play with it. We can work with it and change it around to something that will actually serve us in what we're looking for.
So you're saying if I don't, so let's say all of a sudden I wanted to instill a number of, 10 affirmations a day.
Mhm.
I'm beautiful, lucky. I'm going to be lucky today. Great things are going to happen. So are you saying that that's not enough to kind of kind of override a belief system that might be subconscious? Because then how do we get rid of that, or how do we, address it?
Yeah, so here's how you know. Some people can say, oh, today's going to be a great day and great things will happen. Another person can say, oh, today's going to be a great day and bad things happen. The difference is how you feel when you say it. So if you are an affirmation person, you're looking in the mirror and you're like, today's going to be a great day. And then you hear that little voice, inside your head going, no, it's going to be a terrible day, just like every day. That is the true belief system that you're actually putting out into the world around you. So the beautiful thing is, if you say, hey, today's going to be a great day, you hear that little voice that says, no, it's not, it's going to be terrible, and go, oh, hi, idea or belief that thinks today's going to be a terrible day. And then you can start to play with that so that what you say and what you think matches what you feel.
Wow.
So the feelings are really what it's about. It's that mind-body connection, because we can say things all day long. But if we feel like it's not true for us, it's even the negative stuff is great because it's showing us where to start looking, where to start finding healing and self-acceptance.
I love that. That really then pulls it all together. Cause again, I think I've probably said it many times on the show already, but the big switch for me was to realize that belief system that I had. And, I think I thought, because I was so confident, that I felt worthy, but there was definitely underlying, I'm not saying hatred for myself, but I definitely wasn't treating myself kindly. I wasn't treating myself with care. And it definitely impacted what I was able to receive, and also just then my beliefs that I was probably putting out there. It's almost like I would bring in this good guy, but I wasn't able to keep him. So what you were saying before, and this is almost that really magic kind of segue into what you were saying before, that all coaches say, attract the man of your dreams, and you can attract him. Don't go out and find him, attract him. So is that kind of how it works? Because your body and mind then are in alignment, and then do they then essentially come to you? Or like you're saying, because that's in alignment, I almost feel like now those things will start to appear because I feel this is me. You can tell me if I'm wrong, but it's like we're all masters of what's it called? Not distraction. Well, maybe it is distraction, but it's almost like it's kind of like of a certain. You're looking for a car, and then all of a sudden you see all the cars that you are been looking for. But that's because before they were always there. You just weren't paying attention to them. So is it
Yeah.
something like that?
Yeah, so those are all really good layers of what it is. So this thing about attracting is very true, because just like a magnet, you can either have the two ends that come together or the two ends that push
Mm.
away from each other. So if you are in alignment, if you think and you feel, and those are the same, like I am a good person and I'm ready for the good partner to show up in my life that I can co-create with, and you're feeling it and you're ready, you don't have to look, and they don't have to look for you. It's going to, like a magnet, be attracted to itself. Your subconscious is going to do the work for you. All you have to do is be in alignment, be in love with yourself, be open and willing and ready, and let the magic happen. We call it magic, but really it's science. It's that law of attraction that
Mhm.
will pull two like things together. And I love the quote by Rumi that says, "What you seek is seeking you."
I love that. Oh my gosh, that's so good. So what you're kind of saying is, and I'm not trying to look for the easy way out, but it sounds a lot easier than harder. Cause like, you know what I mean? Like I know when all of us would think of dating, it's like, oh, it's hard. It's annoying. It's like, I got to go do this and who knows? And I wonder if, but what you're just saying, like, if you're just being an amazing person, you're worthy of love. You say, I'm so excited to meet my Mr. Right this year. And you go out and you feel that, it's just going to happen. Like, you don't really have to do a lot. Is that kind of what you're
Yeah, take the
saying?
easy way. Because if you're, and this is whether it's like love, business, whatever,
Yeah.
if you are feeling the stress, the have to, the grind, that all of that efforting, it's going to be really hard for you to find the right person. It can be done, but it's going to be hard. It's going to take a long time, and it's not going to be fun. But if
Mm-hmm.
you can be in alignment, if you can find the truth for yourself, be in love with yourself, and know clearly what you want and let it come to you, then yeah, it's way more fun, because you get these little impulses, these little ideas that say, hey, go get a yogurt, or hey, go for a run on the beach. And then that's when coincidence happens, or serendipity. And like the word coincidence means for two angles to align perfectly. So it's by being clear in your own body, in your own mind, in your own spirit, and knowing that these things will come to you, and listening to those little subtle voices in our head that give us these impulses to go here or do that. But and so for some people, they might go, well, that doesn't happen to me, that can't happen. If anybody is having any kind of negative voice, negative, like, well, it's too hard, it's great if you can notice what those messages are that are coming up for you, because if it's frustration, anger, disappointment, those are the open doors. Those are the paths that will show you where you can be doing your own healing inside, so that it can be easy and fun and light.
Mm.
So
Oh, wow.
there's no bad. Even the negative is good, because it's showing us where we can go next.
Oh, that's amazing. And I love that. And I know a lot of coaches as well, they would be like, more give tips about what to do. But at the same time, what I have found in my own journey is what you've been saying, is that a lot of the work just needs to be done within. Like you just said, heal those certain areas that might be holding you back. Make sure that you firmly believe that you deserve love and that you want love. And yeah, how important is it to, I know a lot of us always say, make sure you're clear on what you want, and that's really hard for people. I get a lot of people who don't always know. Where do you suggest they start? Because I feel like, okay, I deserve love, but how do I know what I want? Or maybe that's, as I'm saying it, maybe that's the problem, because you don't know what you're worth. You don't know what you want. I don't know. I'm just talking out loud here.
All right, so here's a cool thing. Every time you figure out what you don't want, usually what you do want is the opposite. So if you're going out on a date, or you want to reflect on the past couple dates you've been on, say, okay, I didn't like this guy because he did or said this, or he looked at me like that. Make a list if you want to write it down, and then write what the opposite is. So if somebody looks at you badly, you know that what you do want is for someone to look at you with passion and admiration in their
Mm.
eyes. If somebody was rude to the waitress, you know the flip side of that is someone who's really kind and considerate to someone who's helping them bring their food, someone who has
Mhm.
appreciation. So you can start to make that list. And really, what it comes down to again is how you feel. So,
Mhm.
what I like to do when I'm manifesting in my life is think about something I really, really love and just focus on what that feels like in my body. And
Mhm.
then I can think about, oh, I want my relationship to feel like this, right? So
Yeah.
for me at the beginning, it was a nice warm cup of coffee in the morning. It made me feel like warm and cozy and So I could go, okay, that's what I want my partner to feel like. I want my partner to feel like a warm cup of coffee that makes me go, mm. And it sounds silly, but what
Yeah.
you're telling your subconscious is
Yeah.
to start keeping an eye out for something like that.
Yeah. And I think this is the fascinating thing to me is that there is just so much going on subconsciously. There is so much we can affect just on what we tell ourselves, what we feel about ourselves, and what we're putting out into the world. It's not just about, is that guy going to be there or not? Is this going to happen? These are the real key things to work on and do and lock down. And then I just feel like you said, it's just going to happen. And that's just so exciting. I don't know. I get so excited by that. And that's why I think it excites me so much because it's something that we can do and it can happen quickly. It's a change that could happen tomorrow. Like all of a sudden, if tomorrow's a new day and it could be looked at completely differently. That just gets me so jazzed rather than all this just feeling like you never know when it's going to happen because that's really paralyzing and not a good
Yeah.
feeling.
And the other thing too is make sure that you are surrounding yourself with someone who's building you up and helping coach you through it. We're humans. We are not meant to go through this alone. We're not meant to do the struggle by ourselves. So if there is somebody who's really feeling like, okay, all the bad days, all the negativity, then my message to them would be find someone that can help train you through that because you don't have to do it alone. It doesn't have
Mm-hmm.
to be hard. There's this proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. If you really want to do this, allow yourself to find someone that can really help you change those belief systems and join you on that path and celebrate those wins with you or help you to see the flip side from the negative to the positive.
And I love that because I feel like we can all kind of see things from the outside that we can't see ourselves. And that was huge for me when my intimacy coach was like, you're an avoidant. I was like, what?
No, I'm not.
Excuse me? How
I'm
dare
going
you?
to avoid the fact
I
that you
know.
just said
I'm like,
that.
I'm just going to leave that one with you. And then I went back into the book and I was like, oh my God, I'm totally an avoidant.
Right.
I was
No,
like,
that's a funny thing too. If you have that reaction of no way, that's usually a pretty good indication that there's something there for you. Because if somebody says something to you, like if I say, Andrea, you have brown hair, you're going to go, no, I don't. And it's not going to trigger you.
right,
Right. But if
right.
I said something that was a subconscious thing that bothered you, you'd want to fight me on it.
Interesting. Yeah, we go into like the spinies go up a little bit. Key
Yeah, we go into
indicator.
protection mode.
Yeah. And then we just got to but we ourselves can just go, we don't have to change what they say. We can just go, I can change how I feel about that and how I react to that. Oh man, that was huge for me because I was definitely getting triggered, but at the same time, probably didn't think I was that triggered, just like the way I would respond to that question. But when I really thought about it, I was like, no, that's not really a healthy reaction. Like it's really not.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
amazing.
and in any reaction, you have two choices. You can either accept it or change it. So you have the choice. You have the power in any given moment to start changing these belief systems. If
Yeah.
you say, okay, maybe I do have brown hair, I'm going to accept that, or no, I don't have, whatever it is, you have the choice in any moment to change or accept.
And I find that so empowering, right? Because like you just said, everything that we need to do to get what we want is in our control. And that's where I'm just so excited about when it comes to love. Because I think I so thought that it was going to be this thing that was going to bring me up and lift me up and change my life. And it's almost like my life was just pottering along until this magical moment happened.
Yeah.
Until I realized that, wait, like, yes, it is an amazing thing. However, I'm a much bigger driver of my life, and I'm at the driver's seat more than I think, and that's a good thing. And it's not healthy to be reliant this one person is going to change everything, because that's, if it happened to go away, then you're stuffed, right? Like it's crazy. So, but it was, again, so empowering, almost like filled in all the gaps within me. Like if that's a physical thing, like it just felt like I was solid versus feeling like I was empty. And I don't know, that's probably these terms that we use in terms of how we feel anyway, but it was just amazing. I felt like I could do anything when I got myself right. It was incredible.
Which is so great, because in our society, we're trained that we need someone to complete us.
Oh yeah.
And when I was growing up, I used to love the book, The Missing Piece by Shel Silverstein. And he would roll along and he would sing a song, I'm looking for my missing piece. And he was like a Pac-Man shaped thing.
Oh yeah.
Like a wedge cut out. And he tried all these other wedges, and they're too small and too big and too lumpy and whatever it was. And so we're trained that we're missing a piece and we have to go out and find it.
Right.
But what if we could be whole as ourselves, and then we could find somebody else who's whole? So it becomes this paradigm. My husband and I were just talking about this the other night. Instead of me needing him or him needing me, what if we don't need each other, we choose each other?
Yeah.
Like, how amazing does that feel? Like, I don't need you, I choose you, I want you. Like, that feels like such a more of a delicious idea, but it takes some time to get there, when we're raised in a missing piece society.
Oh yeah, no, I fell for it, hands down. Prince Charming, you complete me, absolutely. That's why I said it was that shift to exactly what you were talking about I'm completely whole, they're whole. And then again, we have this thing called our relationship. So it was like me plus versus.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. Me plus.
Me plus. Yeah. It's like, I still get me, you get to be you, and we have this. I was like, this is awesome. Oh, so much fun. Oh no, it's amazing.
1 + 1 is 3.
That's right. I mean, we did the 11. I was like, but that just saved me, because otherwise I was putting so much pressure on who this person was going to be, because if they're going to complete me, they better be freaking guard down amazing, right? Because I'm amazing, so therefore you need to be amazing. And I was almost making it the impossible person to find, and that was, again, not serving me. And it was living in that perfectionism. Really, really tough, but game changer when that viewpoint happened. And I love, because I had always heard, you choose love, and I get that, and I was like, that's a load of crap. Like I heard it a lot, but it just wasn't sinking in. And then finally I got it. I was like, oh, I don't need you. Like I choose you. And that makes it so beautiful. And as we know, and we've heard from other coaches, again, like that's actually one of the most unattractive qualities, is to be needy. Nobody I don't think any of us want that, unless you're obviously trying to fulfill something and get that validation. But yeah, that's amazing. I love that. So let's go back to, I want to touch on a quick thing, back to the story of how it came from trauma in the brain. I had mentioned to you before, I said, okay, well, my parents got divorced. And you were like, well, that's a form of trauma. And I was like, wait, what do you mean? And I was just, again, I think this is where we kind of, we get brought up with this belief system. We have society's beliefs, and we experience these traumas that we don't maybe give credit to or anything. So explain a little bit as to why you believe that is a trauma, and how that might impact people. Because I know a ton of people would probably have that, but I didn't think it was a big deal.
Yeah. Well, and it doesn't have to.
Right.
But again, we live in a society where when someone gets divorced, it's because the two parties hate each other and they have to get away from each other. And it's this big thing. Now we're kind of seeing this thing of uncoupling, which is a more loving and gentle experience. But for us, people our age and older generations, usually it's the dad left, and you might have these scenes of the children going, "Daddy, no, don't go," and being at the window and watching dad drive away, or maybe dad just leaves in the middle of the night, or mom kicked him out, whatever it is. I've worked with so many people, and that was their main trauma, because they felt powerless. They didn't see it coming. They didn't know what to do. They felt isolated and alone. A lot of times they weren't allowed to process their own grief and their anger and their jealousy, rage, all those things. So they just stuffed it inside. So again, anytime that something happens outside of our control and we can't fully express it. We just hold it, and it becomes part of our belief system. We create a belief in that moment that is, it's different for everybody. It's usually something along the lines of I'm not lovable, or what I say doesn't matter. Some kind of belief system around powerlessness.
So I got it. So the main thing, we might not know that that was the event, but is the main thing, as long as if we can understand the beliefs that we're telling us or ourselves, that's the key, because that's the one that we essentially just, is it essentially as easy as just letting go of it? Like, is it a going, wow, I know I formed that because of this moment, and I don't need that anymore, and let it go, essentially set it free. I don't know.
Yeah, so for starters, you can tell if that is a trauma for you if you look back at the memory and it triggers an emotional response. Some people can look back and go, oh yeah, it was a tough situation and it was fine and they've already processed it. But if you look back and it triggers any kind of negative emotion in your body, then you know that there's still some trauma that lives there. So for some people, it can be as easy as, okay, I recognize that I was powerless and anger, and they can kind of say, okay, that's not me anymore, and they can move forward. Some people need to sit with it a little bit longer. Some people need to really get some healing around the different layers of that trauma. In which case, if you need some help, then I would say go find someone who specializes in that kind of thing, because a lot of times the child needs resources to be able to find their voice, to speak up and say things, and there needs to be some healing. So it's going to be different for every person. You'll know based on how much it triggers you, and you'll know how much it triggers you because you'll feel it in your body.
I think what I love about this is that all these triggers, all these emotions, these anger, frustration, anything that gets us agitated, like, I don't think any of us really like these. And I just love that there's a solution out there to why it's happening and also how to fix it. And that's why I'm going, just like, I highly encourage, like, get into it. I know it's going to be tough. The personal work sucks, but there's people out there like you and many others that help, coaches, everything. That's what I love about it. It's so incredible. And it doesn't take a long time, right? Like, it doesn't necessarily.
Yeah. So, some people can work through a trauma within a 1-hour session with somebody.
Wow.
And when it comes to something like divorce, and it's funny, the most painful part is thinking about having to do it. It's actually not as painful once you do. It's like doing your taxes, right? We dread it for months and months, and we finally get it done and go, oh, that wasn't so bad.
Yeah.
The same thing with the trauma. And the thing that people might not be aware of is it can be as easy as just doing a visualization where you get to say all those unsaid words to dad, and then you get to say all those unsaid words to mom. A lot of times there's a lot of anger there, and then people feel guilty for being angry. So being able to just provide a safe space where someone can, in their imagination, give voice to all of those things that they wish they could have said back then is enough to be able to set it free and find healing. And the biggest part is if you can discover what the belief system is that was created at that moment, and then turn it around into I am lovable. They just had a hard time. It wasn't about me. It was about them. And whatever that belief system is, change it into something positive, and then feel that positive feeling in your body. It's not about what you think. You've got to feel it too. So you have to feel, I am worthy. I am lovable. I am valuable. My voice, my opinion.
Amazing. Thank you. That's incredible tips and so digestible. So that makes sense to me. And I really like that. I would like to end on one really fun question, but I do want to share that you have been married for 21 years. You've known your husband for 25 years. What is the secret to being together with someone that long? I'd love to know.
Okay, so this is funny, and I say it a little tongue in cheek, but it's intimacy. What I have found is that the more intimacy that you can have, the big things become the little things, and then the little things just don't matter. And so you can find intimacy in a lot of different ways. Sex is the most fun, most enjoyable, but it can also be something like playing dominoes. My husband and I sit and have coffee and play dominoes together like we're old people. But it's one of those things that it's ours. So finding those ways to have that intimacy regularly regularly. So again,
Yeah,
the
what's
big
regular?
things become small, small becomes insignificant.
So
So
what's
I can always tell when someone's headed for a divorce because they're intimate like once a month or something like that. If you can ramp it up, then it's really interesting. I'd be curious what the statistics are, but from my own experience and everybody that I've met, it's just really keep that intimacy going on a regular basis.
And is it that conscious effort from both of you to make that happen and set aside that time for each other? Because everybody can get busy and everyone can kind of, I can see it. People can easily drift apart, and then everyone starts thinking their own thing about the other person, going, well, they don't think this and they don't love me and they're not saying this to me and yada,
You
yada.
left the crumbs on the counter.
It's not about the crumbs. I just want a hug. That's all it's saying.
Yeah. Well, that's a really good point too. So very early on in our relationship, I noticed that every time I was upset and my husband would say something, he always said the wrong thing. And it was so annoying, right? When you're angry and someone's trying to help, because of course he wants to be helpful and do the right thing, but I'm not accepting it the way he's trying to give it. So one of the best tricks was that I told him exactly what I wanted him to say, how I wanted him to support me. So sometimes I would say, I need to vent right now and I want you to listen to me. And when I'm done, I want you to hug me and tell me it's going to be okay. And it sounds kind of funny. And some women will go, I shouldn't have to tell him that.
Right.
Well, fine. But if you want to continue to be unsupported, then do it your way, or give your man the exact tools to support you in the way that is going to build you up and set you free. Because if I say, hold me and tell me it's going to be fine, now I'm done. Now we can go back to something else, as opposed to me being irritated because he was trying to love me the way that he knew best.
Yeah, and I realized that mental energy, because we used to definitely have those kind of disconnections, and it would cause we'd be disconnected for almost a day or two. And now I've just really tried to bring those down. And I realize now when they happen, the mental energy it takes, like in any regard, I'm like, I just want to do anything to, work through those as quickly as possible because it's so crazy. Amazing. So what's regularly, like once a week, or like just as often, just not once a month, right?
Right.
She's like, you want me to tell you how often we have sex?
I could if you want me to. Multiple times a week. We'll just go with that.
I'm asking how often you play dominoes. That's what I'm asking.
Oh.
I could see in your eyes. You're like, why are you asking me this? I'm like, I'm just asking how often you play dominoes.
Yeah, we play dominoes quite often. Thanks.
I love it. I love how that was amazing. That was super direct, very informative. I know everyone's going to take away a lot from that. If anyone wants to learn more, how can they reach out to you?
Shannon at shannonparsons.com. Drop me an email, say hey, tell me that you fell in love with the conversation that I had with Andrea, and I'd be happy to connect with any of your listeners.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it, and we will talk soon.
I love you. Bye.
You too. Bye.